Hey y'all, it's Natalie today for a Cherry on Top Crafts, and it's time for the monthly Design Team YouTube Hop. And today our theme is our favorite tool. So I have a lot of supplies out for today's layout, but a lot of them will not work without my favorite tool, the Sizzix Big Shot. Which of course you could say any manual die cutting machine would be my favorite, but this is the one that I own. I have a Sizzix Big Shot and I love it. That blue pad there is, I think it's from iCrafter, and it's a self-healing mat. It's also magnetic. I also have the Sizzix Precision mat, which is glass, I think, and it's like a mirror, and it's for the very intricate dies. But the first thing I'm going to do for my tropical layout is I am going to run through this Alt New Falling Foliage, I think is the name of this die, and I'm sorry, embossing folder. I'm going to use it with my white cardstock from American Crafts. Before I put the cardstock into the embossing folder, I lightly spritz each side of the paper with water so that it doesn't crack or break the paper. And I'm running it through with a piece of silicone. It's like a pad that comes with some of the Sizzix die cutting things, and it helps when you are using an embossing folder to give good bounce. So now I'm using that same American Crafts white cardstock, and I am using Distress Oxides to create some watercolors, and I'm just going to do a swash of watercolor on the background and use these 3 Catherine Pooler dies, and I'm going to use the coordinating stamps with them as well. So I'm just making a watercolor swash first before I stamp on top of them. And again, those have matching dies, so they will be used with the manual die cut machine. So now I am using the manual die cut machine to also cut out my title, which is SXM, which is the abbreviation for St. Martin, which is where we were in the photos in the picture. And these are the Jeff Alpha dies by Pink Fresh Studios. And making my own titles and alphas with my manual die cut machine is like one of my jams for sure. So I highly recommend investing in really a few good die sets of alphas. I'm using a stamping press here to stamp down these really beautiful Catherine Pooler foliage stamps. They're very large. I'm going to do each one separately with some embossing ink, and then use some corresponding embossing powder in like the same color as the background to create the stamped image. So that is a beautiful purple, like palm frond. And then I will use this honeybee color on the yellow one, and then on the blue tumbled glass I will use another light blue, aqua turquoisey blue embossing powder. So that watercolor technique is one that you can do if you're not really into coloring. I'm not a colorer. I don't really love using alcohol markers because I don't really know how to use them very well. So I like to do watercoloring first and then stamp on top of them. And I'm a sucker for a good stamp set that comes with a coordinating die for that very reason. So this magnetic pad is really nice, so you don't really have to use any washi tape to hold these down over the stamped image, because they stick magnetically to the pad in the exact spot that you need them to cut out around the stamped image. So I don't normally bring my Big Shot on screen very often, but since it is the focus of what we are doing today, I decided to bring it on camera because it is my favorite tool. I use it so much. The handle has come off because it's missing a screw, and we can't for the life of us find any type of screw that fits into it. I need to go onto the actual manufacturer's website and see if I can find like replacement parts for it, because sometimes it falls off and it hits my toe and it hurts. But it's okay. That's how much I love it, is that I continue to use it because I love it so much. I can't live without it. So that dry embossed or embossing folder paper that I use, I'm going to use to back these rips that I'm taking out of this Vicky Bouton paper. It's a really hot pink paper, and I'm going to back the rips with that embossed paper and give it a really nice texture in 3 places on the layout. And I printed off 5 photos of us from St. Martin and 2 are landscape, and then 3 are 2x3 portrait photos that are just of us in the port, just right around the port, right when you get on and off the ship. We were just kind of killing time before we got back on the ship after we had done a fun excursion. So I'm just roughing up the edges of where I cut off the pattern paper, and then again adding back on my embossing folder paper to give the textured look to the cutaway spaces. This one I was a little struggling with to get it the right size, but I used my T-square ruler to ensure that I have enough of that white paper to give me a straight 12 by 12 piece of paper. And they have jagged edges now, but off screen I will like slice those off with my trimmer, which is probably my next best, most used tool. This is a design team hop today, so we have a lot of inspiration of everyone using their favorite tools. So make sure to hop along. If you comment on everybody's video, then you will be entered for a chance to win store credit, and we have National Scrapbooking Day coming up next weekend, so I think you need to stock up on your supplies so you could definitely use that store credit, right? So I will link those videos down below, as well as some of the affiliate links for these products that you see me using. That includes the Big Shot. If you don't have a Big Shot, highly recommend. Best product I own. Ask me any questions because I will definitely enable you to buy that. So this top piece, I thought it would be really fun to put a little extra embellishment. So I trimmed off all the papers, and then I decided to use my Crop-A-Dile to add in 2 eyelets, and then I'll use those to thread this twine. So if you don't have a Crop-A-Dile, it's a really fun tool. I like to use it a lot to add places to add like charms on mini albums and things like that. But this time I just used it to add in some twine, and I really am happy with that little extra added interactive, if you will, element that is up there. And so I used yellow because the pink is really bright, and so I didn't want to use pink to embellish, so I chose to use the purple, blue, and yellow to embellish. So now I'm going to use some white cardstock to back all of the photos, and I have them all backed now. So I'm going to go ahead and stick them down. I actually decide that I'm going to stick up a couple of them on some foam tape to give it a little extra dimension and kind of focus on the 2 pictures that I kind of wanted to be the focal point. So I'm just going to tuck in all the foliage, but then I decided I need more foliage. So I used the same ink pads to just ink up some white cardstock in a few different colors, just little bits of it, because I don't need many, because I'm going to use smaller dies this time. So I go to the Sizzix package of foliage dies. I think it's like garden foliage, I think is what it's called. After I let that dry, you let it dry first, but then I ran it through my Big Shot, and I didn't make y'all watch me do all that, but I am using this Jeff Alphas and kind of giving a little ombre color technique with those same Distress Oxides to create my title, except I'm leaving the outline of the die as totally white. So I love that little contrast that's going on. So we were in St. Martin, which is the abbreviation, and probably the airport code, I would imagine, was, I Googled it, and it's SXM. So that's gonna be my title. So there you can see all the ephemera bits that I cut out with those garden dies and a few other like tropical foliage dies that I had. So now we're going to commit to the photos and start sticking those down. So I stick my ATG gun to stick down a few of them, and then pop up the photo of the boys and the other photo that has all of our family in it with some foam tape. I'm just making sure that I'm getting them in the right spaces so that they overlap each other a little bit. We had guava berry drinks at the port. They were pretty good. I really like guava, so I'm not sure if that's the same thing, but probably. The boys are always down for a good virgin daiquiri, although the little one never drinks at all, any slushy or anything like that. We always buy them, and then we're like, why do we always buy you this? You never finish it. All right, so we have that foam tape on there, and we're gonna stick those down. And then I didn't, you can see I didn't go all the way to the edge with the foam tape, and this is why, because when I go through with all these foliages, I'm gonna stick them in, and I want them to be able to tuck under the photos a little bit. So that's why I leave a little bit of a space around the edges of the photos to be able to tuck in those things. So I won't make you watch me do all of it, but I do use my trusty Nuvo adhesive there to stick in most of that foliage. And we're almost going to call it a layout now. The last thing that I'm going to do is to go into my Pink Fresh Studio Flatback Gems and pull out 3 colors, which perfectly coordinate with those 3 colors that I used to embellish, which are blue, purple, and yellow. And so I will just use my little gem picker and that same Nuvo adhesive to just scatter those around the page. So you'll see them in the final photos, but I won't make you watch me do all of them. But I decided to run the title down the side of the page since that would be fun, since it's not a full word, so it can be split up in like a different way. I thought that would be fun. So now we're just going to add those flatback gems. I love those Pink Fresh Studio gems, and they come in, and there's 3 different sizes in each of the color little compartments. So super beautiful. I thank you guys so much for watching. I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe. Check out the links down below with the affiliate links to the products that I've used, and then also to the hop, and make sure you hop along, see everyone's inspiration, comment for a chance to win. And I hope you guys join us for National Scrapbooking Day. That's next weekend. A Cherry on Top does an amazing job of gathering so many prizes, and we have tons of events for you guys, and it's gonna be so fun. Thank you all for watching. Bye y'all.